Welcome to the Sneaker History Podcast, and unlike Supreme, we're on our way up, baby. Hope you're having a great day. Thanks for tuning in. I'm here with my two esteemed co-hosts,
What's
Rohit
up?
and Mike. Gentlemen,
What it
how's it
do?
going?
All good, man. Just out here complaining and whining like the old people we are that prices are getting too expensive for shoes just on a retail market. So no pleasing us.
Yeah, no, I was just happy one of us knew to hit the record button because we've definitely been in that scenario
I
before where we have a fire conversation right before
Yeah.
the show
feel like this
starts, and then
happened
when the
last
show
time.
starts,
So to
we're
get the listeners up to speed, 30 seconds into this episode, we were just having a conversation about the Supreme and what's the shoe called again? I don't even know what it's called.
Courtposite.
One
You're
more?
the
the Courtposite.
Courtposite.
Yeah.
Worn by what famous athlete?
Well, he didn't wear them. He just held them in his hand for a picture. But it was Carlos Alcaraz was the promoter in their lookbook. For those who don't know who that is, he is. I guess he's still world number one. Should be at this point. Tennis player, and it's an old tennis shoe that was a deep cut. I don't feel like no one really knows like about that shoe, and that's why Rowan and I were saying, hey, you know what? I think it's probably just gonna sit around longer than we expected.
So
Mike. No,
no,
I was
just
just
tell me
gonna
this,
ask you.
Rohit. So that shoe wouldn't come out as a retro because it's such a deep cut, like Mike was saying, unless Supreme was on it. But like, you weren't a huge fan of the Supreme part of it, the aspect of it.
Oh, not at all. I mean, I
Yeah.
think I literally feel like the living, breathing embodiment of the Steve Buscemi meme that I reference so often in this podcast, where I just feel like if I wear anything with the word Supreme on it, I look like a chump, I look like a poser, but then in my mind, maybe that's one step closer for the brand jumping the shark if it already hasn't. So it's a give and a take.
I'm with you, man. I've never owned a single piece of Supreme item, not even like any of those little trinkets or stickers, anything. Never, I never was. I guess I never really got into like the brand itself. Nothing wrong with it. I mean, I like where it started skate culture, but I feel like I just kept looking up at a certain point and everyone had it, and that just I guess wasn't so appealing to me. And they don't really make amazing designs of anything. They just slap on a couple pictures and call it a day. And I think the one thing about that shoe, if they released it as a retro, I would have been more excited about the Supreme that's embossed into the top of the eyelets. That's the only crappy part about the shoe. Everything else is solid, I think.
Yeah, I mean, instead of Supreme, make it the Alcaraz one. Like, to your point, Mike, if it's such a deep cut, use this as an opportunity to rebrand. It's something we
Mm-hmm.
see with the Adidas-led Kobe sneakers. They're no
Yep.
longer called the Kobe's. They're the Crazy Ones or the Crazy Eights. Why can't you do something similar?
Yeah.
See, I was looking around the room because normally there's something from Supreme within hand's reach of me. All I have is this Obama ashtray.
The Supreme?
So yeah, it's Obama smoking a joint ashtray. Um, but so I like Supreme stuff, but to Rohit's very insightful point, as you get older, it kind of does feel a little bit weird. Unless it's a truly youthful soul. I know some people older than me that make Supreme look fantastic,
Mm-hmm.
but Supreme, like many things, like many brands, had its heyday, and now it's not the heyday. They got bought by what, like LV brand or something, or
Yeah.
VF, I thought.
yeah,
Yeah,
VF
whatever.
Corporation.
Yeah.
And it's they went corporate, and now you see what it looks like when you go corporate. You get a Supreme Courtposite for no reason, but also, like Mike said, that's a deep cut. Like that shoe doesn't get retroed without Supreme saying, "Let's do a fucking weird shoe." And
I mean, not
right,
only that as well, like to Mike's point, we saw this with Carlos Alcaraz around the US Open, and it is now almost a month after the fact.
Yeah.
If you're trying to capitalize it, if you're trying to give Carlos Alcaraz a supreme bump, if you will, or vice versa, why pull the trigger now? And it's also one of those things that you mentioned that kind of kickstarted something in my mind. Compare and contrast Supreme with Kith, Robbie, because on the surface they seem very similar in terms that they cater towards a younger audience or
Mm-hmm.
younger, more nostalgia obsessed youth. But then at the same time, Kith still feels very much within its lane. It never comes across as forced. And is it something as simple as the fact that it's not yet acquired by the likes of a larger corporation, or am I missing the point?
Mike, do you have a thought on that?
Yeah, I actually do. So it's funny. I actually thought about that the other day. I was like, how is how do we look at these brands this way? Like you said, Supreme is very youthful. Not saying that we're like super old by any means, but it's like we think of people early 20s, late teens who wear Supreme. But when I see Kith, Ronnie has done it in such a elevated way. I mean, look who he has to do his lookbooks. I mean, with Bryan Cranston, you have like way older than us.
Seinfeld.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Seinfeld.
he's Seinfeld. He's getting people who are like head and shoulders older than us promoting clothes that still look cool. So we feel like we're kind of in that right lane of if I had to go in the office, I can wear this Kith stuff and be okay almost.
Yep.
As opposed to if I wear Supreme with somebody flipping the bird on the shirt, I'm like, nigga, go home, bro. Like, try again.
I wear Kith
Yeah, and-
literally to work, and
See? Look.
I can go
As
from
do I.
the office to the basketball game to the plane. Like, it works really well. It's definitely the original ownership has a huge aspect to play with why Supreme and Kith feel different. Supreme used to make weird stuff that had practical purpose for somebody looking for that item, like the thermos mugs, right? Or a flower vase. If you're looking for a flower vase, Supreme has one that says "fuck you" on it, right? Like that kind of stuff. It's fun, kitschy, different, but a lot of those ideas came from somebody probably just smoking a joint saying like this would be fun to have a vase that said "fuck you" on it and a towel that said "f you" on it, et cetera, et cetera. Now, algorithmically, they're probably saying red, black sell really well. Nike and Supreme do really well. It's just all so thought out in a formulaic, thought out in a not fun way.
Yeah.
One last talking point, and Mike, you being the tennis buff of the show, was the Courtposite also the shoe that, for whatever reason, Nike never released in a traditional way? And if I remember correctly, didn't they release them only to the likes of TJ Maxx or Marshalls? Like, it had that weird kind of history behind it.
So that's a different one. So this is actually that's another weird deep cut sneakers where it wasn't the Courtposite, it was a Nike Zoom Vapor 10 with a Foamposite one upper.
Okay.
So when we're doing those hybrids, so when you had the Jordan 3 Fed, you had the Kyrgios and Kyrie Vapor. They also did the Foamposite, which became the low top Foamposite that was found pre-COVID everywhere, and everywhere like Ross's, Marshalls, things like that, which became like a weird had a weird cult following because no one had ever seen it, and people thought it was just a fake sneaker until they, I guess, they did their digging.
Interesting what shoes show up, and this wasn't going to be a part of the topic, but like the Roshi shows up at Marshalls, right? The Roshi right now is like $25 on sale. I saw it.
Already again?
No, it's insane. Nobody wants that shoe. Why do you make that shoe? Why do you make a $250 Strive for Greatness down puffer jacket, Nike?
I was waiting for this.
With like the fake Versace looking all over. It's just, bro.
It doesn't help that we talked about this in the chat earlier. It's like how you have a $240 jacket, but LeBron jacket when LeBron retros are going for $150, $80 on sale. So it's just not matching up. Like
it does not match up. It also doesn't match up how we always compare MJ and LeBron, and they always will be. But like in this realm, MJ's not LeBron. LeBron's not MJ. MJ can charge $300 for a Jordan jacket, and I think more people are in the market for that over. And I love the Strive for Greatness. I love all of LeBron's Just a Kid from Acro, all his hashtags. They resonate with me.
Roll with the winners.
Whatever it might be. But like a lot of people are going to see that on the jacket and be like, that fool's corny. That's a cornball jacket. I don't know. That's just my humble opinion. Also, the Jordan 12 being $240. Why is the Jordan 12 almost the same price as a LeBron Strive for Greatness Dry Fit puffy jacket?
They want you to get both. They want the fit. You want your mix and match your goats.
I almost think that's a sacrilegious sin, almost similar to wearing Nike sneakers with Adidas socks or vice versa, because you can only have one, apparently. It's like it's either Jordan or it's LeBron.
But what
That's a
gives
weird
the
point. It kind of is. I mean, I've never really mixed the two players with my clothing.
No, and I think we're all
fair?
so subconsciously leaning one way or the other that if we did, there would be so much clowning because we are very polarized, we are very tribal. And right now, if you are a basketball fan on any surface level classification, you will inevitably get asked the question of LeBron or Jordan, and you cannot pick both, or you cannot have an answer that deals with equal parts subtlety or nuance. It has to be one. The answer and the reasoning has to be bombastic, and you have to die on that hill.
It's
It's
true.
true.
But I mean, I'm curious because when I was younger, my early 20s, I loved to buy the Witness LeBron dry fit T-shirt and
Those
like the
shirts were dope.
LeBron branded Nike shorts. I wonder what what is that market because LeBron's the old dog at the park now. So aren't kids wanting more of like the Zion co-branded stuff or the Jaw co-branded
No
stuff?
one's buying that stuff anymore. I mean, you remember Robbie when I mean, you worked in Foot Locker as well, where that was like the thing. Like, I'm going to buy the new LeBrons. I'm getting the Witness shirt to go with it, or I'm buying the new
Yeah.
Jays. I'm getting the full fit. You know, Phil an athlete, Kobe, whatever it may be. Now kids are like, all right, I'm gonna go buy the shoe, but I'm gonna go get a, I don't know, I'm gonna go get a fill in the blank this vintage style shirt to
Yep.
wear with my mesh shorts. They're not buying the Nike clothes anymore. They're going and buy high fashions. They're buying Eric Emanuel shorts and stuff to wear with that. It's a whole different. It's a fashion show on the court. When we're trying to look like a player, they're out there looking like the runway of like or the next rap video. They're like, look, I'm gonna be out there in my $100 shorts, my $200 vintage shirt, and I was just trying to catch my stuff on sale. So
No, I mean it's exactly that, and it's also one of those things where the symmetry and the synergy that used to be there is no longer there. And I think this younger generation loves to play in chaotic elements, and that is chaotic because I think all three of us are from a generation that if you're going to spend $100 on a pair of shorts, best believe those are not going to be your performance shorts. Those are going to be the lounge around. I'm at home. If
nah,
if you're
I'm
dating a
going to church in those
significant
shorts at
other,
that point. That's my
yeah,
Sunday
exactly.
best. Like that's $100.
You'll find me at the altar. I'm ready to pull the ring out if the shorts have pockets.
As long as nothing's risen in the shorts while the sermon's happening, you're fine.
Speaking of which, can we get a Washed King bathrobe, Nike? You're welcome.
Well, I mean, so it feels like how do I want to phrase this? Given our esteemed panel,
Oh jeez.
Nike, it's like the Lord of the Rings, right? So there's a point in which Frodo and Sam are off the path. You know, Frodo's fucking wrapped up in spider web, like they're about to die. Gollum could take the ring. Things are looking kind of bleak. They ultimately end up throwing the ring into Mordor. Things
Hmm.
end out okay. But I think right now, in this current juncture of time, Nike's in its oh shit, Frodo's about to die. Um,
What do we do?
You know what we do? We hope that that 7 foot Frenchman is everything we expect him to be and then some. But even
right?
then, that's going to be a sea change because hopefully I'm not teeing up the next topic too much, Robbie, but it's like we still, for all of his brilliance, we're not expecting Wemby to do anything in terms of move merch, are we?
Well, I don't think so whatsoever. Because nah, but this is me. I'm taking my my Spurs hater hat off, and I'm gonna just be completely. And it's funny because Britt's actually sitting right here next to me, so she's probably
Hi,
just about
Britt.
to throw something at me. They say hello. I watched him play preseason, and he's looking better than what I saw during summer league. Thank goodness. So good on Spurs fans. But he's not gonna move anything. So much so that Nike is literally branding weights at this point. Like I hope they give him because he needs to lift a weight.
Sir,
But
okay, Robbie, save us from this. I thought Mike was going to say something
No,
nice.
it's. I don't think. I mean, it's interesting because if Lamelo can get people to buy Puma, the 7'6" dude who's way, I mean, bigger in stature, but like Lamelo had hype, but for different reasons,
no one
right?
cares about his basketball play. Though kids
Exactly.
buying it they're like, oh, he has a green car with a weird mohawk. Like I don't know what he's like. He's like a
Exactly.
joker on the streets.
But Wemby could be so good to where people come back to pasture the Nike pasture because of him. But the same, I bring up the lost nature of maybe Nike's current predicament, because for a long time, since Adidas bought Reebok, I want to say that was about 2014. I could be wrong.
Sounds about right.
I need to Google that.
Fact check. Hold on.
Yeah, fact check me, dog. Um, that brand Reebok has felt a little lost. There's been some great highs, really good collabs, really good re-releases of retros, consistent retros. They've profited very well from kind of like the white sneaker craze over the
2005, by the
past
way.
couple of years. 2005?
2005. I didn't realize it was that they had it for that
Holy
long.
cow. So that's almost 20 years of just Reebok being a subsidiary of Adidas. They're now out from underneath the Adidas umbrella and kind of trying to right the ship in sense of clear direction, clear leadership. What does the future look like? And they did that by signing both Shaquille O'Neal and Allen Iverson. I believe Shaq is the
President.
AI is the VP of basketball and Shaq's the president of basketball. Who did they? Just to help me out, guys. Who did they sign? Angel Reese.
Yes, sir.
And also, well, I should probably know this, but I mean, I'm not a Bears
Jalen
fan.
Hurts. Not Jalen Hurts. Justin Fields. Pardon me.
Thank you. Yeah, there you go. That guy, the guy who's not Jalen
Justin
Hurts.
Fields, who is miraculously playing better. But in the last month and a half, Reebok has announced two huge and young athletes being a part of their brand, and two seasoned veterans. Shaq, above Iverson, is being a seasoned veteran of business, running stuff, making things better, improving. You bring your two biggest athletes you've ever had at the brand, the two models you keep retroing every month, and you bring those two people back into the building. I think it's cool. What do you guys think?
No, it's one of the smartest things they've done. I mean, if you look at it, not only is it smart to bring in your two biggest athletes, but you're also bringing in two athletes, even post-retirement, are still very big and known. Like, although kids now may not have seen Allen Iverson play, they would probably at least recognize it, like in a person. Oh, that's Allen Iverson. I've heard about him from my parent or from an older sibling, things like that. And they are still really deep into the basketball community by putting on things for young kids, more so AI. He still has his Iverson Classic, things like that. So with them being ground level, being able to still reach the young kids who are playing now, they're able to start getting talent, being able to touch that talent at a younger age to where, hey, let's plant the seed. Because from my understanding, Reebok is looking to get back into those competitive fields of performance basketball, performance football, things of that nature, things they were in the past where they were leaders of the pack. Now they're just trying to, like I said, they righted the ship and they're coming back to get a piece of the pie.
And a piece of the pie is where I'll kind of use as a segue. So two things. I think the Iverson hire is more of a nostalgia, right? We don't know about Iverson's previous business experience. We just know that right now he probably has the highest Q rating out of anybody from that generation not named Kobe. And that's primarily because he's been the one that showcased love back to this current and future generations, which is something that old NBA players just struggle to do with, no matter what era they're from. Now, the Shaq thing is interesting because, to your point, Robbie, he is a businessman. He has been the face of a lot of companies that have been outside the athletic industry. So, but two things. One, whenever you see Shaq on a brand, there's almost this kitschy aspect to it. Like, I can think of the General commercials. I can think of those cans that you see at 7-Eleven with his big-ass face on them. That doesn't necessarily inspire confidence in terms of starting a new habit of buying Shaq branded product. Like, you're going to buy it initially because you're like, oh, Shaq's face is on this can. Let me try it. I don't have a high return on that. But then the other thing, and this is something that's probably going to be a reoccurring theme in this particular episode, is we've always lamented the fact that big men can't sell sneakers. And I think the one exception that we've had to that rule has been Shaq, especially during his Orlando Magic days. But now we're looking at a big man trying to sell sneakers in a completely different way. He's no longer the star athlete. He's trying to do this from a boardroom perspective. And that's what's going to make this very interesting, because if knowing Shaq and knowing what his core competency is, he still finds untraditional ways to gain success. So that's why I think it is going to be a shrewd hire. And I'm cautiously optimistic that I think he is going to figure this out. Because if nothing else, Shaq does a great job aligning himself with brands right at the tipping point or at that moment. And I'll use this example, I think, of Lexmark printers, right? He single-handedly brought the printers back for millennials.
Well,
And that's what I could see him do with Reebok.
Shaq is just, no matter what age you are, Shaq is just so cool. Like it would be really difficult for any athlete, be professional or NIL, even if it's not an athlete, an artist like Cardi B, they have her on the roster. It'd be difficult to sit in a room with Shaq and not walk away like, fuck, okay, I might do business with this guy. I was thinking of doing business with brand X, but now after that conversation with Shaq, he gets me, he gets people, he gets what's cool. Shaq is a fucking DJ. Shaq's on the biggest, and has been for years, the biggest basketball show there is on TV inside the NBA. He's a world-class traveling DJ, the businessman.
A rapper
He is
still.
just so many
I mean,
things. It's been,
he's so many different things to so many different people.
Shaq's for the
And
people.
yeah.
yep. And what was my point I was going to make about Shaq? Hopefully I can come around to it. But it's one of those things where with Shaq, there is a feel-good factor. And this is the point I was going to make. Who do you two consider to be the most successful businessman that's been associated with the NBA?
Outside
Shaq
of
and
For
Jordan?
Magic.
me, Magic. And I think
Yeah.
Shaq is the one that ironically followed in that Laker footstep of being the next business
Hmm.
leader coming out of the NBA. So that's
Yeah.
the other thing where I think Shaq also has a slightly higher Q rating because say what you will about Shaq, he doesn't miss when it comes to investments the way Magic Johnson sometimes does. I look at the
Mm-hmm.
Magic Hour, I look at his tweets. Like they're almost bordering on parody and as great of a businessman as some people think Magic Johnson is, I still think there's this kind of aura of him being a dunce or stating the obvious that Shaq doesn't do. So that's why I
Yeah.
think ultimately he is going to be proved to be more successful than Magic. And like I said before, I start to sound like a broken record. I think this is going to be a good play for Reebok. I'm just cautiously optimistic to see do they open up more of their vault. And to your point, Robbie, are we going to see things outside of the Shaqnosis and the answer? Because that's what it feels like Reebok's playbook has been for the last 3 to 5 years.
I think it was a good sign that we saw the ES22. I mean, hadn't seen Emmitt Smith in a while. They're, I mean, from what I've seen, at least overseas, they're bringing back some other answers that we don't ever see. Like the answer 3 is supposed to be coming back. When have we seen that last? I mean, like you said, though, you're still going to find stuff outside of that, and it feels like they're getting to that point. I mean, it takes a while to get this stuff primed, and you know how long it is to build a shoe, but I don't know. I feel good about it because I feel like there's just a new, like a breath of fresh air since they kind of got the shackles of Adidas off of them.
Yeah. I mean, to go back to wanting to work with Shaq from his charisma, Shaq and AI both give off really big uncle vibes. Like, oh, Uncle
Definitely.
Shaq, let's go work with Uncle Shaq, let's go work with Uncle AI. And I think what they are most going to bring, I don't foresee. They did an Iverson, not the legacy, but like a question looking model retro from like a year and a half ago. Um, I don't foresee new models really coming from them. What their power is going to be is getting people like Justin Fields to come, and by having Justin Fields, you put a popular name brand, the athlete, to tie with a Nano X3, to tie
Yeah.
with the training stuff they're doing, to tie with the beautiful running shoes they make, right? So Angel Reese at LSU with her, with the big three they have at LSU, if she's on court like doing like strength training, just like in a pair of like Reebok workout shoes,
Yeah.
her pull is so big, and you see, oh, those are the Angel Reeses. They're not the fucking Angel Reeses, but to a consumer, if
Hey,
they
that's all I
can
need to
build
know.
that connection, man, and she plays a lot, and personality wise is a lot like Iverson. She's very
Hmm.
unapologetically her. She knows her game can back it up.
Yeah.
So she's going to say what she wants to say. Take the ball from her.
No,
Like, right?
she's a perfect hybrid because she's got the LSU like Shaq. So she's got that in the pedigree. To your point, she's tenacious on the court. The other thing that I find interesting, and I didn't know about the Justin Fields news until like I started talking with you two gentlemen tonight, it is indicating to me that there's a sea change right now that's happening in terms of how we're marketing basketball sneakers. And the reason I say this is I was watching the WNBA finals. I can't remember a male Nike basketball player that's gotten a campaign the way Sabrina has for the Sabrina one in a long time.
Oh yeah.
And that to me indicates that we're seeing basketball in a much more broader sense. And I don't mean that as a sexist pun, but we're seeing it in a much more broader sense than previously thought because of the fact that we're always associating the likes of a Kobe, LeBron, Kyrie, KD when it comes to these larger than life campaigns or these elaborate commercials. Now we're getting that almost exclusively for the likes of a Sabrina or an Angel Reese, and that's an interesting and exciting place to look at from a fan perspective.
Yeah, no, I you say that. The only sneaker commercial I've seen in a while has been for the Sabrina ones. Like legit on TV, like I was watching ESPN, whole commercial, I was like, man, I haven't seen an actual shoe commercial in forever if it's not like a little, YouTube commercial or something that pops up on social media. So you're right, man. It really like there's no other male athlete out there that I know of. So I mean, with that being said, I think they're really targeting young athletes. Almost, I don't definitely not underdogs because with Angel Reese, I mean champions, so they're not any kind of underdog. But you saw kind of like the no matter that they won, they still try to put the backlash from her talking trash, like you say, like AI, like. But I feel like this kind of almost like the scrappy group they're kind of putting together, which could be a good thing. Like you get these people who are gonna get like Justin Fields trying to play out of this hole he was in. Clearly, he's playing better now. But it's just like the scrappy group was something to prove almost, as opposed to the well
It's something to
established.
prove, and it's also the fact that what kind of led Angel Reese to become more than basketball famous was the fact that she was directly going against the anointed next one, Caitlin Clark
Mm,
from Iowa basketball.
yep.
And there's that whole mirror image concept of you've got this one girl who's white, who's from middle America, who's playing basketball the right way. And then you have all the dog whistles associated with a young basketball player of African descent in Angel Reese. And I
Hmm.
think much like the same way certain forces were trying to sensationalize Allen Iverson as a thug, as a killer,
For sure.
like Angel Reese kind of embodied that the way Iverson did. And he's like, you know what? You can put a killer in a suit or you can put him in a white tee. He's still going to be a killer. And that's kind of Angel Reese's ethos, if you will, as a
Yeah.
basketball player. So I get that comparison as well. But it's interesting. Like I'm very excited to see with the new college basketball season from a women's perspective, how that's going to shape future
Yeah.
athletes. Because in a way, women's college basketball has taken the standing that men's college basketball has in terms of they're doing a lot better job of developing talent and identifying certain younger players as stars on the rise. So we used to associate that with men's basketball. We're not seeing that as much because I think that sport is as close to dying as possible with the exception of March Madness. But college women's basketball seems to do a lot better job of that now.
Well, yeah, they definitely have clear number ones. Like when someone goes number one in WNBA, they're like, oh, they're actually number one. Now with NBA, you're like, oh, let's see what happens.
So I mean, to that, what if Reebok signs like Caleb Williams from USC in
Mhm.
football next year? I'm not saying they're going to, but like you
To me, that
have opened the door for these young athletes to see one of their peers, both in age and what they do.
Mhm.
Like, oh, I mean, that Reebok shit looks kind of cool. Like, I would look pretty cool. I mean, just looking through Angel Reese's profile earlier today, I could see her mixing with like Cardi B, very much how like Nike uses Megan the Stallion to like push women's athletics,
Mhm.
athletic clothing and stuff, shoes.
Yeah.
Um, putting Angel Reese in the Cardi B stuff and have like Cardi B voiceovers in the commercial. I just made a commercial for you right there, selling
Cut the
millions.
check.
But I mean, just the youth movement. Every brand's kind of having a youth movement. Marketable. The college fields are now open. The pro field has been open. All the brands are trying to make a move. It's very, very interesting.
yep.
Yeah.
NIL is also next in line. It's not just name, image, and likeness. It's just
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, to the point where Skechers is getting into the basketball game. Julius Randle, the longtime Nike basketball and Kobe fan, has been seen wearing Skechers. Was it the SCX? Is that what the shoe's called?
I'm sorry.
Uh,
What?
I think it's called the SCX.
Robbie, this is a family show. We have
We're
Brittany
gonna
listening.
we're gonna fact
Come
check
on.
that name. We
Come
got
on.
double back on that one.
SCX, not SEX.
They need to go ahead and change their name
Sam,
immediately.
Charlie,
That is going to be a
X-Ray.
problem.
Are those three dudes that are having sex? Like, who are they? Why do I need to know about them?
Who thought that was a good idea?
No,
No,
is
it's
that
provocative.
I think that's what they're called.
I mean, if it's true, I really want to know. Like, I want to go slap them in the head. Like, who thought that was a good idea to name this? Like, let's put that on the shoe, and let's watch the memes roll in.
I love when you try to find something on your phone. And it's
Doesn't
like,
pop up ever.
we're not finding this. You're good.
Look, as you're looking,
no,
not
okay.
only Julius Randle.
It's the SKX, not SCX.
Just
C and K
sounds
sound.
really
a percent better.
That C and K sound. Well, let me set it up though. So Julius Randle wearing the Skechers SKX, and then Joel Embiid, after having 2 signature shoes with Under Armour, has also signed.
Wait, he had 2?
With Skechers. He had 2 signature shoes that nobody bought. They were also not marketed. So Skechers has signed Julius Randle and Joel Embiid from Nike and Under Armour respectively. Hot take, they don't look bad. The Julius Randle, like the lime green joints he's wearing, would I ever in the history of my life be caught dead wearing them? No. Does Julius Randle work in a major market, and does Joel Embiid work in a major market full of people who wear Skechers? That answer is yes. Walking the mean streets of New York, there were mad dads out there in the Skechers. So many people in Skechers.
Yo, son, are those the Skechers, though?
The Skechers. Those the SKX on?
SK2. Look.
What'd you say to me?
All I tell you this. There's always the argument of, if it had a swoosh on it or 3 stripes on it, you would wear it. I saw that picture, I was like, bro, absolutely not. It looks like something that is on Amazon that they're trying to sell for like $30. And you guys know me, I'm always a proponent of, let's try something new. I saw that, I was immediately just like, they can't do this. And I do think it's hilarious though, because Skechers was the one who was producing Triple B's for LeVar, and now they're in, like, I'm sure he's punching the air somewhere, like vigorously, just angry, because now they got it right. And
no, they did. I hope he's punching the air,
they got bigger people in them than the Ball brothers.
No, I hope he's punching the air, because Lonzo's lost his career because of
poor decision making,
Triple B's. But the thing I'm worried about, in a similar vein, is this: Joel Embiid is a very injury-prone player, and for you, as an injury-prone player, to take as big of a risk as there is with regards to footwear and a new company that does not have any sort of performance history, that is a big leap to take, and that's a big man to take that big leap. I'm just worried that, like, I just do not want to see Grant Hill 2.0 or Lonzo Ball 2.0. Like,
I don't want to see anything. He's too big to be in those shoes. Like,
I will counter both of your points here.
Please
do. I wouldn't even put Skechers and Big Baller Brand in the same sentence, and that's like a compliment to Skechers. They've been making and designing shoes and releasing shoes for 30 plus years.
Oh no, the good Big Baller Brand ones, the ones who were actually the ones they brought out to the masses. I say good.
No, that's a dad trying to make money off his sons. He's a good dad. Don't get me wrong.
He's a good dad. I'll concede that.
Skechers and Big Baller Brand, do not even put them on the same level. Those shoes were not tested. Skechers, but here's my real point.
They made the shoes.
They did. To make money, they charged $350 per shit.
They still no. Those first
they didn't
couple
do the
were.
research.
It was the second version that they made where they were actually playable, like that people did reviews and played on.
But
they still made them.
Because they want to make money. Because people would.
They do want to make money.
If the same way, why did fidget spinners get made for so long? Because you can make money.
Okay, that's not the same thing though. Like, no one was getting knees blown out with fidget spinners.
They don't care. You think whoever made the fidget spinner cares that they were destroying the school system by having kids be distracted all day long? I mean, it's a real thing. Teachers taking away the fidget spinners in school. The creators don't care. They already made the $5. So, here's the point that I'm getting to. Let me get to this point. So, footwear is definitely an industry. There's people who jump around from job to job, like banking. It's not like you're going from being an automotive salesman to a food distributor, right? Whoever made the Skechers shoe, I guarantee you used to work at Nike or Adidas.
Yeah.
I mean,
Guarantee
yeah,
you,
I can.
whoever designed that shoe. So
Yeah, but
whoever
they're not
made this
bringing that
shoe,
infrastructure over, though. That's
Yeah.
my issue with, like, you
but
can
Skechers
be
has been making infrastructure as a footwear brand, and I hate Skechers for a very long time. So if you have the right people, the actual materials, and the R&D, I trust this shoe. Do I like it? Is
I'm
it
just
cool?
waiting for the shape up version. Give me the shape up version for the court. Let's see how it goes.
If Joel Embiid is
Yeah.
the poster child for the resurgence of the shape-up shoe, great. Skechers, you've established that principle. You are the pinnacle of that particular subgenre of the industry. More power to you. But this is performance basketball. And one designer alone, or two designers alone, or three designers alone, cannot overturn an entire sea change the way we expect them to. And it's not just basketball. We're starting to see this with soccer or global football as well. They hired Harry Kane. And I'm always for players getting checks because I don't know when they're going to have that injury next and they need to have that nest egg set up. But this is one of those things that I'm worried that by signing with Skechers, he may have accelerated that nest egg needing to come in handier sooner rather than later.
Maybe.
Well, that's like I hate to get off the brand topic, but I see what you're saying because people without experience, it's almost like me going to, I don't know, let me go. I'm gonna go apply to be a truck driver, like an 18-wheel driver, and they give me the job. I don't know what I'm doing. That's like Skechers in basketball, ASIC in soccer. I don't know, not soccer, but football. They have Stephon Diggs. I'm like, what are you people doing? There's not even a cleat out. And anyway,
here's a similar analogy. We're doing a podcast. On some way, shape, or form, the three of us are performers. Would that be fair?
Fair, yeah, I'd say so.
And there's a recurring joke that I've started to instill in these episodes where I always talk about starting an OnlyFans account. That is the type of leap that I think Joel Embiid is making. But that is just my opinion, and if you want to disagree with me, you can find me
Definitely.
on OnlyFans.
And you can make a great point. Skechers, they have, I mean, I'm defending Skechers a lot here. They definitely don't make basketball shoes historically, but the science behind there, I'm going to use this example. I know somebody who used to work at Nike that works at Allbirds now and is making fantastic Allbirds shoe. I know somebody who used to work at Nike and did the Lululemon workout shoe.
Yeah.
It's not just the designer. Skechers got people to sign there to work on their basketball division. I guarantee you, with together 40 years. I shouldn't say guarantees. I do not know.
I don't guarantee that.
But I mean, just the way industries work. I could go to work right now, and there's going to be somebody new at my bank job, and they're going to say, "Hey, my name is Joe Smith. I've been in the industry for 30 years," and that's normal. Do they know exactly what we're doing here? No, but does that guy have 30 years of experience? Yeah.
No,
this is a really weird analogy.
That makes sense, but as we all know, in the sneaker world, they're not quiet about anything, right? When they're going to do something, we're going to hear about it, and there's going to be a drug out until they've done it. So even when someone leaves to go somewhere else, when New Balance started the basketball division up again, when Puma started the basketball division up again, good Lord, we heard about it for months and months on end before we even saw product, right? When did we hear anything about Skechers? There was no announcement, and they're pretty, like, everyone's trigger happy with newsletters of, look, press release, we just got this person designer basketball shoe. I mean, I'm not saying I can catch everything that goes through a news cycle because we all have 9 to 5, so it's impossible. But did you guys see any of that of, hey, we got Eric Avar, he's designing our shoe. You know what I'm saying? Like, clearly he's still at Nike, but you understand, like, kind of my mindset of, like, you should be bragging about the person you brought on, not like, hey, I know it's been quiet, but now we got Joel Embiid and Julius Randle in this thing.
And the thing I also am interested to look at from a dynamics perspective, to borrow Robbie's analogy of Joe Smith and Robbie at the bank, right? That is one thing that if Robbie's going to a new bank, let's say, and he's working with the likes of Joe Smith, what's to prevent Robbie from saying, hey, I respect the fact that you've been here for 30 years, but I'm the new hotness. There was no performance basketball division before I got here, or there was no long-term growth before I got here. So if we're going to do this, I was the one that was hired, I'm going to pull rank because I at least have the experience. You may have the infrastructural experience in this company. So that's where, and to your point, Mike, kudos to Skechers. They've won the press conference because we always talk about you can win the press conference
Mm-hmm.
as much as you can win the game. And we are talking about that right now. So that
Yeah.
shows a progress from a Skechers perspective. But to your point, Mike, and I think this really amplifies it, who is the shiny carrot that they're dangling in front of us as consumers to say, hey, you know what? Even though I have kind of concern about Skechers entering into this particular genre of
Mm-hmm.
sneaker, because they have designer X, Y, and Z, or because they have a technology DEF, I'm more likely to buy it in. It was just the fact that you want us as a consumer to be wowed by the fact that somebody like a Joel Embiid, a top 10 player on his day, if he's healthy, has joined this new upstart performance basketball brand.
Yeah.
That seems to be the lead when I think if we are probably a little bit nerdier than the average consumer, hell, we started a sneaker podcast, we're talking about this for 40 plus minutes. We care a little bit more about the X's and O's, and it's just non existent.
Yeah, Skechers, Mike, you make a great point, but they don't market like that. They don't like. They're gonna walk quietly with a big stick and then just pull the big stick out. Apparently,
But Robbie, if I can
But,
ask you
like-
this question, if they're in that division, and yes, you're right, Skechers kind of does things the Sketcher way. There's always like a 55-year-old or a 60-year-old ex-NFL
yeah,
player.
you know what they are. They
When-
don't have to market it. You know what?
No,
you
but
know what they are.
Oh,
don't
true.
you feel that if they're going to be in that industry, they need to kind of meet it in the middle, so to speak, and say, you know what, we don't traditionally do this, but we also want to acknowledge our new standing in this industry, so we are going to go outside our comfort zone a little.
Yeah, they probably should have, but Nike only rolls out the same 3 designers once a year over and over again to show off, hey, they still work here. They still make these shoes. 4 designers.
They're still
but
little
like,
guys. It's all right.
I mean, for real though, I mean, Joe Freshgoods, historically, New Balance's brand motto has been be about the shoes, don't really market that much. In recent years, they found out they kind of need to, hence why you see Joe Freshgoods' name written.
Yeah. Everywhere.
It's Joe Freshgoods Series 4 of the Made in America New Balance. Like, you kind of have to have that. Adidas once a year talks about who designed the basketball stuff that year. So I don't think it's weird for them not to talk about who that person is. Literally, Nike rolls out the same 4 people every year for the past decade. So it's like, who
They're
knows?
like the Beatles.
Yeah, we will have to see. They run the press conference. We just spent a lot of time talking about Skechers, and I've spent more time defending Skechers than I ever have in my life.
Skechers, send this man a pair.
No,
Shape
do
us.
not.
You see,
No,
yes.
don't get it
Give them
twisted.
shape us, please.
I
Give them
would-
shape us.
No, I mean, and I had this thought: how much money would it take for me to professionally wear Skechers if I was Joel Embiid? I like to think he got like 3
The bag has to
Sprite
be
bags.
wild. Like, the bag has to be wild.
He got paid for Sprite and made great Sprite commercials. So it's probably 3 times that, I hope. Anywho, we've been talking for a while. Let's end on this quick question. Would you buy Nike dumbbells for your house? Yes or no? I'm going to say no because I already am a dumbbell. What about you, Mike?
No, because dumbbells already cost an arm and a leg, and I can guarantee Nike's going to crack me over the head with more money.
I would say no, because within 3 to 5 years, they may be giving them away at work, and that's all I'll say.
Dang, you know what? I'm gonna call a U-Haul out there when you start. Let me get some.
I
packed
didn't
up.
want to say it, but I've been in those Nike gyms. I'm pretty sure they have all those weights sitting there currently, and they're like, fuck, this basketball
Didn't
stuff
they do
is
this
not
before
selling.
though? Maybe I'm just one of was it the Mandela effect where I
No,
thought I saw
they've-
something I didn't. But I
They've
feel
done
I-
like strength cords and bands. They've done like auxiliary
okay, maybe that is
everything.
what it
But a
is.
straight
then.
up dumbbell, they literally have those dumbbells in the Bo Jackson building right now. They're just like, ooh, we have a lot of these left. And hear me out. If you're a Nike Plus member, are they doing free shipping on that? Are you going to free ship dumbbells? Hear me out, Nike. That's what
Nah.
I really want to know.
Nah, bro, they're gonna be like, go ahead, hit me with that $50 shipping because them suckers have
50, bro. I bought the Bowflex, the ones that have like the
the
crankable.
interchangeables.
Yeah. I think it was like $100 to ship that thing. I'm kidding, because it weighs like 2 dumbbells with all the dumbbells attached to it. So
No, I mean, it's definitely one of those things right now that I wish I could share some of the stuff I'm working on right now, because after reading that press release and seeing all that information, I'm like, what are we doing from a row organizational department perspective? But that's
Yeah.
for the
Well,
after hours episode that we will bless you with if you join our Patreon.
Logistically,
that's
where are those weights right now? Are they in Memphis? Are like
they might
what?
get stolen in Memphis, so don't keep them there.
Maybe that's a strategy. You put a 25-pound weight in every shoebox, so that way it becomes a little bit harder to take away.
Well, I just laugh because I always joke and say Nike don't like me, but this is like the first press release I got randomly sent from whoever's handling Nike stuff. I'm like, well, you're really not gonna like me after this because this is hilarious. Uh,
It's a trip.
It's a trip. That's the best way to
I
put it.
wish them well. Whoever who wants to be the hype beast with Nike weights, you know we're gonna see this in like YouTube videos. Like, oh yeah, I'm training in my cactus plant flea market with my Nike 45-pound, freaking. Okay, Lord, this
I'm
is gonna be
surprised
awful.
the dumbbells aren't in different colors. Like, I would really want a Volt set of dumbbells. that
Black
were-
cement. Why we don't have any like Concord color weights? Black cement.
That's
There we go.
where the price creep comes in. If they sell any of these, they'll price creep an extra $30 to get some black cement weights on there. So, in my past like 4 days of looking at Nike stuff, $250 LeBron dry fit jacket, Nike dumbbells, and four things. Fanatics / Nike and the have either of you seen the Philadelphia Eagles gear fiasco? So Nike partnered with Fanatics on everything, pretty
Yeah.
much for the NFL, and Nike has sent out multiple Jalen Hurts jerseys with the most crooked lettering. I'm talking like the one is this way, and like the Hurts is this way, and the one is this way.
Literally
With
looks
the
like a
braces.
timeout sign.
It's bad, dude. It's not a good look. And
It's the,
the
most
third one I didn't bring up,
appropriately
and I
named
skipped
jersey.
right to the Jalen Hurts. The NBA gear this year, Nike people.
Well, who do we blame for that though? Is it Nike or do we blame the teams for designing that? Because I feel like someone said in a room and the team was
Nike. No, Nike tells there's some teamwork, but Nike for the most part, if you're not a heritage brand, they tell you like they make it. Here's your gear.
like that heat culture one. Woo!
There's some.
That looks fake. That looks like a fake jersey that you get at the flea market somewhere.
I never want to say fire somebody, but maybe there needs to be some reorganization in
Administrative
basketball.
leave for that person. Like let him go home for a couple of days or her go home for a couple of days just to think
Sports
about
apparel and basketball. Just rethink your life a little bit because it's
it. Yo, but I tell you this: whoever's on top of the Nike sales right now, you should get a raise because I just bought nonsense for way cheaper than it should have been. So you get a raise.
Did you get those orange 38s? Because
No, I went, dude. I got the Air Zoom Generations for $83, and the
That's
Atmosphere
awesome.
One Lows for 110.
a good come up. On that note,
yeah.
go buy some shoes. Have a good day. Thanks for listening. Peace.
See ya.
I did not mean to turn it into that and wrote, but I was like, fuck.
Hey everyone, this is Nick again. Before you take off, do us a solid and head over to Apple Podcasts to leave us a review. Give us a rating on Spotify and Amazon Music, and make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel because we have even more video content coming soon. Speaking of new content, we have an amazing community of sneaker enthusiasts that hang out in our Sneaker History Discord on a daily basis. While sneakers is a connection point that brought us all together, we've all discovered countless shared passions that we have in common with each other. We recently launched a couple of new podcasts directly from our community. One of them is a Formula One podcast. If you're an F1 fan like me, the Exhaust Notes podcast is your weekly fix of Formula One fun. It's hosted by myself, Rohit Malhotra, and Todd Yates. New episodes drop every Tuesday. I've been wearing fitted hats for years and collecting my favorite teams since I was a little leaguer. It has been awesome to see so many new fans getting into fitteds in recent years. Crown and Stitch is our new talk show about fitted hats with Dexter, Keith, and myself, where we talk about fitted hats, snapbacks, throw in some obscure hats because we all kind of like some funky stuff once in a while, don't we? Copping, collecting, and so much more. New episodes drop every Wednesday. Hit the links in the show notes for this episode to give our new shows a listen, and be on the lookout for more new podcasts dropping soon. Last but not least, tell someone you like their kicks today. You never know how far a simple compliment can take you, and we all know how good it feels to have someone show their appreciation. Thank you all for the support, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Peace.